just want to let you know that I will be stepping out about 10:30, and I'm going to turn it over to our Vice President at the time. I want to see whether he wanted to take it over now, but he told me to proceed, so he'll do that and follow order. Good to see everybody here this morning. I'm sure Supervisor Williams is en route. Before we go any further, I'm going to ask Supervisor Howard, if you will, open us up a prayer this morning.
Sure. Would you bow your heads, please? This morning, our Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for all the many blessings that you've given us. The Heavenly Father, we pray for your grace. We pray for your protection. The Heavenly Father, we pray for all the families. The Heavenly Father, and then the Heavenly Father, we pray for the victims and the families in the shooting at Virginia Beach. The Heavenly Father, we pray that you will be with them, give them strength. The Heavenly Father, now we pray for leaders on the national level, on the state level, and the Heavenly Father on the local level. The Heavenly Father, give us the grace, give us the understanding, and give us the wisdom that we need. The Heavenly Father, we always pray for our soldiers that stands abroad for our freedom. These are the blessings we ask in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Howard. I hope everybody has a revised copy of the agenda. We'll try to follow the agenda as carefully as we can. If there are any changes or adjustments, we'll let you know as we come to them. First item of business for this June 3rd meeting is the approval for the May 2019 board order. What's the pleasure of the board on those board orders?
I move we accept board order.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion?
Mine's a no, simply because I wasn't here for the meeting, so I'm a no on that.
Okay. Any more questions? Comment? All right, all those in favor, let it be known by the vote sign. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 3-1. All right, moving right along to the next item. We have the privilege of presenting some scholarships this morning. Each year about this time, the board has the privilege of awarding 2 individuals for the MAS scholarship. And this morning we have 2 individuals here that we want to present scholarships to. We have Ms. Jessica Marie Surma, if you will come forward. And also we have Mr. Cameron D. Bell, if you will come forward at this time.
Can I just say something?
Yes, ma'am. Supervisor Miller is going to give us a little background about the scholarship information that we
I just wanted to tell y'all that I serve on the committee. There's 3 of us across the state that do, and I read your essays. And y'all did a fantastic job. Congratulations. I appreciate all the hard work that y'all put into applying for this scholarship. Good job.
I don't know if this is the best position, because I know we got space considerations, but what we're going to do, we have the Mississippi Association of Supervisors Scholarship that we're going to present to Ms. Jessica Marie Surma in the amount of $500. We have a certificate that we're going to present to Ms. Surma. We also have the check.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. We wish you well in your future endeavor. Thank you, ma'am. Same token, we have a scholarship certificate that we want to present to Mr. Cameron Bale. And then we have the check that we want to present to Mr. Cameron Bale. We wish you well in all your future endeavors. Thank you very much. All right. Moving right along to the next item. Citizen comment period. Are there any citizens here that would like to approach the board that are not on the agenda for up to 3 minutes? You may do so at this time. Seeing that there are none, we'll move right along. Ms. Cooper, assessment chamber.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, got a motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate motion. Vote sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you.
Short and sweet.
All right, Mr. Rosenholm.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm a little more groggier than usual. I just got through driving 986 miles from the National Fire Academy up in Maryland, where I worked on a bunch of AFG grants, and it was quite something. This last week was pretty intense. We had, for the particular ones I look at, we had 676 applications involving millions of dollars, quite an experience. And as you know, Oktibbeha County has been pretty fortunate in the AFG business over the years for a variety of reasons. Now, why I'm here. As you know, with your financial help and support and the work of many of your firefighters, we now have a valuable layout of rated fire districts in the county. You all have this map somewhere along the line just to show the different, if you might say hodgepodge, because there's all sorts of rules that determine where the boundaries of these things are. The most recent addition has been the Mabin District 3 area, which now enjoys a Class 8 rating. This is the blue in here. And again, I didn't make copies because you've got it already. Hopefully a 7 in the future. This rating recognizes the efforts of many in the county, and while the main thrust of this effort is better fire protection, I'm a little more pragmatic about that. The real reason is reduced insurance rates. As previously noted, on these properties, going from say a 10 to an 8 can enjoy up to a 60% reduction in your fire insurance. Not your insurance period, but just the fire insurance part. And hopefully with this new truck that we're going to talk about, it'll go down to a 7 in the foreseeable future. The dollar amount for this is not known, but it's substantial. The basic population of District 3 is 1,637, has 46 square miles. The structure value from Ms. Kuban's office down there is $36.7 million. And I have no idea how many people have insurance, are they insured properly and all of that, but needless to say, it's a bunch. And certainly the life hazard as well as transportation emergencies are added to fire protection. In addition to the recent water shuttle in Mabin, which I believe I left all of you this magazine article. If you didn't, I got one here. This is a British fire magazine that treated us pretty good. Their editor is better than me. I sent them stuff and they made it look good. And I've got one more program going to them about some water sources using GPS and a lot of things that Toby has done for us. But we got the Mabin reduction, and we've got another water shuttle scheduled here within a few weeks that will be specific to the Bell Schoolhouse Fire Company. And you will recall the British magazine says that we do it good, and I hope we got a lot of fallout from that. Now, the problem is to achieve these ratings, we must have a myriad of regulations from the State Rating Bureau that they talk about the age of the responding pumpers. We have previously met that need in Sturgis, and it's on the way to be here within a few months. Now we need to address the District 3 pumper, which is a 2002 model. While it's in good shape, it's 17 years old and has a 15-year theoretical limit that the Rating Bureau puts on us. This project for Mabin will adhere to the RIFTAP, Rural Fire Truck Acquisition Assistance Program, Round 13, which was recently funded by the legislature and will give us up to $90,000 of a matching grant. This is our age matrix here that we try to come up with. And the plan is for this old pumper in Mabin to be repurposed into a rescue vehicle with the air cascade and a lot of other rescue equipment that we don't carry on the pumper. The existing rescue vehicle will be retired. It's a 1987, and while it's running fine, it's 1987, and I know how it is to be old, so we'll go from there. Chief Yateman from Mabin is here, and his apparatus committee has assembled 4 quotes from very good, reputable manufacturers based on their desired characteristics and specifications, and this would be a state contract price and regulation. And the chief will present the decision regarding the 4 vendors and ask your permission to get started on this purchase project. I understand that cash flow is hopefully taken care of because it'll be a month to 18 months, I'm sorry, a year to 18 months before we'd have to come up with the money. All 4 of these quotes are from reputable builders. basically the same chassis, pump, hardware and all of that, but, as I say, Wayne will have some, comments for you about what, Maben would like to do. Chief?
Good morning, Chief.
Morning. As Kurt said, I've gotten 4 quotes, from 4 different vendors. One of them is, MKE, out of Alabama, at $305,797. Rosenfire at, $309,500. EVT Fire, which is, $335,000. And for our apparatus at $328,947. As Kurt said, these trucks are all spec the same. It's just like going buying a car, you know. You go to one dealership, they give you one price. You go to another dealership for the same car, got the same thing, you know, and they give you a different price. So, you know, buying apparatus is pretty much the same way. This is the layout of what the truck will look like. Like I said, that's the prices I've got.
Well, we can't do because this is, you know, it's the way that fire trucks are done. We learned that before, that reverse auction is done, if you remember, how it's work, because you have to go by certain prices. But my question would be, because typically we can't buy equipment in our last year, can we approve this? You know, in our last year of term, the law says that we are not to purchase equipment. So I just wondered if we approve this in our, Attorney Roberts, in our last year term.
I don't think this is purchasing equipment. This is authorizing to move forward, inspecting. The purchase won't take place for another year.
That was my question. We're talking about this being
Next year.
next year?
Next year.
Yes, it won't be, they'll start on the truck, but it won't be ready until next year.
So you're not off,
No, they will be doing a purchase order for it. It's not a lease purchase, it's an outright buy, and they have the money in their budget for it.
so this is an outright.
It's an outright purchase, not a lease
In
purchase.
their,
We are 6
in their,
months.
in their budget. In the fire, okay.
And
Your
it's all
budget.
into your fire budget.
Right.
And it does normally take over a year to get it.
Yeah.
6 months.
I got a bill.
Now it's an outright buy, so yeah. My timing is correct in this. We are 6 months away from November. Not crazy. Yeah, we should be good.
The last 6 months of office.
Yeah.
Oh, the fourth bid, I do apologize, Chief.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
You got MKE, Rosenbaum, the other was $335.
Fryer at, $328,947.
The 305 of MKE, does that meet all your specifications? That's the lowest bid.
That's the lowest bid,
The
yes, sir.
305
Yes, sir, the 305,797 is the lowest bid.
meets all your specifications.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like it, don't get me wrong, I like all the vendors, like all 4 dealerships. But, you know, I know money is a situation, you know, for the board and everything, you know. And that's the reason I wanna let y'all pick out which one y'all want me to go with, because I can work with any of them.
The lowest and best bid.
Where's MKE located? That's important. Service, where service is concerned, where's MKE located?
Where is that one located at, Kurt? MKE?
KME?
Yeah, KE.
Yeah, their dealer is, in Alabama, around Decatur, and their factory's in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
What is it, is it a Peterbilt or is it? What make?
I'm sorry?
Does it have a
What's
make?
the chassis? What kind?
Make Kovacs Mobile Equipment, KME, and they're, an old-timey reputable manufacturer. Just as a matter of interest, the majority of the rigs that we bought under my background, have been, Rosenbauer or its predecessor, Central States. Their dealer is in, Tupelo, and we've had good rapport. We've had good luck with the trucks. A couple little problems we've had have been taken care of, and, all four of these are reputable people. Ferrara's down in Hammond, Louisiana. Pierce is in Yankee land way up in Wisconsin, but their dealer is in Memphis.
This is KMA is the name of the company. Who is it the company we're buying from, the name of the company?
Rosenbauer.
Rosenbauer.
Even though the dealer is Goldie's Fire
No, we're
Apparatus.
going, the low bid is, AMA. The low bid is AMA, is that,
Yeah.
Whatever he's
And it's
got
the same
there.
truck,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
And they're all of them bid Freightliners, didn't they?
Yeah.
Right.
Or as I sometimes say freight shakers, but, same powertrain, same pump, that sort of thing.
Is that the one you feel comfortable?
I'm comfortable with it, y'all comfortable with it, you know, like I said, I can work with all four vendors, you know,
Okay.
I know them, all of them that I've talked to, I've worked with and everything.
The committee did it.
So I'm gonna motion that we accept the low bid, from KM, what is KM? KME.
Got a motion, is there a second? Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote saying. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all,
you.
thank y'all very much.
If you
Y'all have a
don't
blessed
mind,
day.
let me just say right quick how hard these guys work, guys and girls work out here. I've got some training video up on my Facebook page of these guys going through the training. I just wanna tell you how much I appreciate what y'all do for the people in District 3, helping with the insurance rating, and what you do for Octavia County. And I also gotta say how much I appreciate, our training officer Check, how much he works with these fire departments to help people. Ms. Roseanne, thank you for what you do. But if you all wanna see them in action, go to my Facebook page. I was out there probably in the way more than I was anything else, but they're on.
I had the same thing
Yeah.
from the Sturgis group, the water hauling, when they did that on my Facebook page as well. So they work hard in every district.
They do.
And what impressed me is that they're volunteers.
Absolutely.
Marvell, and I appreciate you coming out, you know, I invite, I don't have all of y'all's numbers or anything, I've got Marvell's number and, Mr. Montgomery's number. And, you know, anytime y'all wanna come out, you know, feel free, I'll be glad to have y'all, you know, training meetings or whatever. But I thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
One thing I forgot to mention, separate to all this, I now have a bunch of smoke detectors. And even though the departments are gonna be giving them out and trying to find people, if you know anybody that needs or wants a smoke detector, give us a holler. We put them up for free. We have some carbon monoxide detectors. This is not really the season for those, but we got them anyway. And out of all the grants I looked at last week, a substantial majority of them were on smoke detectors. And in our case, I got a bunch from the National Volunteer Fire Council, and then the State Fire Marshal gave me a whole bunch of them 2 weeks ago, and we're ready to go.
Thank you for that information, Mr.
Thank
Roseanne.
you. Ms. Capanella, how many did we get responded for when we reached out to the public about the free smoke detectors? Did you get a pretty good response?
Yeah, I probably got about 100 people.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to mention her. Luckily, we've got 3 sources now.
How many
I think the
detectors
majority
do
I had
about?
was in your and Joe's district. Joe had several pages.
Yeah, I had a lot of people who needed smoke detectors, and we've given you those names. I'm just concerned about when we're gonna start moving forward with that, however, that kind of
We've got to
bothers
get
me
a
a little
day to
bit.
do it, you know, and get the volunteers to try to help us get just with the storm stuff, we've been so busy.
Right.
So once they get called up, yeah, we'll try to get
Yeah.
that together.
But if you've got an individual request that appears to be especially old people and kids and all of that, we'll do it right now, as opposed to the
Yeah.
canvas.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, whether or not we can use some of those names to move up some of those names over to volunteer fire department and let them do some of it.
Yeah, I gave Terry some detectors last week, and of course I saw him last night at the fire, but I didn't ask him if he needs more or not. Skinner, of course.
Right.
Sure, but
That's
holler anytime.
Okay.
All right, thank you all. Have a great day. Moving to the next item, project updates. Mr. Pritchard, Clyde Pritchard. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you'll recall a while back, you issued a board order that was allowing us to segregate, if you will, the box culvert project at Mississippi State. Because it has a different project number, I have to get a new program signed. This is a copy of the program that we prepared. If you please, board, I need to execute it with the original signatures. Everybody got one? This just creates for state aid the DECD 005316 project where all the money was previously allocated to the 15 project.
You got the original.
This
Sam.
is original right here for signatures. Please, the board.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let me know by the clerk vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Very good. As a reminder, say this really loud, Longview Road will bid Friday morning at 10 o'clock, June 7th. Bid will be held here. Supervisor Howell, we issued a notice to proceed on the slurry sale project on Mill Road. They contacted me back, said, we didn't think y'all was gonna move that fast. We may need a little bit more time. I told them to send me a letter back and tell me what date they'd like to start it, so.
Everybody needs to sign this document.
That's right. Each one.
I just signed it my second position.
Supervisor Miller, the Craig Springs, White Oak Lane, we sent notice of award to Murphy Paving. They contacted us last week. We should have their bonds and insurance, et cetera. This week, we'll be giving them a notice to proceed.
And that's a 60 day or 90 days?
I think that was a 90 day. I can check that for you. I have circulated an email regarding the county lake dam. I would just encourage you to go ahead and consider that. This is like third request from Ms. Peter.
Do we need a motion authorizing you to move forward with
We will have survey costs and preliminary engineering costs. We've done some geotech work before on borings, but it's gonna take some work on our part to put, her estimates together.
Did I read that correctly? It said that really what she's asking us to do is engineering plans, that they understand the budget restraints.
That's correct.
That as long as we just have the plans in place.
Correct. They wanna see that the board of supervisors are moving forward, that we're developing estimates. Sure. And that we're developing our cost estimates, we have a timeline, if we're gonna phase the work, that we have some phasing schedule, that, that they have an idea that we're gonna move forward.
I think they want to see the drawings, then they want to see some laid out steps on making the repairs, not just the drawings sitting there. So I'm gonna vote that we authorize our engineer to move forward with the designs and drawings so we can get a estimate on what it's gonna cost to make those repairs.
That's second.
Motion and second, is there any discussion on the motion?
So this being said right here, is there any, if we get these plans, do you think there may be a chance that we could get some state or federal funding from this because of budget
We're
restraints?
pursuing every avenue. I've talked to Scott Coleman, the lead engineer with NRCS. Again, I think some of you have been in conversation a little bit with David Kennard with the drainage district, and we're gonna talk to him a little bit. We're trying on all fronts to gather money up. But that said, if we had an opportunity tomorrow to do a grant, we would need these same plans estimates, so we could
Still have
have
to have
them.
plans.
What we were looking for.
That has to be the first step. We had to do the plans before we can get
And that was my
anything.
question.
Any
Would
estimates
this
you-
help us out?
Do what?
That was my question. Would this help us
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, any estimates we presented right now, if you remember, are strictly from what little work was done on the dam. We did some work at Lake Lamar Bruce up in Saratoga. They kind of been see the pants numbers that we're throwing around. They wanna see some permits.
I don't think they're gonna allow us to kick the can down the road for another 4 years without starting some work. I don't want this board to get in mind that we're just gonna get some drawings and satisfy them for another 4 or 5 years. I don't think that's gonna happen. We're gonna have to step up and make it happen as a board. We just gonna have to make it happen. But, I think it was good.
No, this is just dealing with the dam, right? Who's asking us for? No, this is coming from, what department, what agency are you dealing with?
MDEQ.
Okay, thank you, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Dam Safety Division of the Department of Environmental Quality, specifically Amanda Tudor is the one that we met with her about 6 months ago at the dam, and she had some requests, and we've got our formal inspections done, but, this is like her third request or so, so y'all move forward.
Yeah, we did, supervisor training myself, we're in Washington, we did talk to our leaders about, federal funding and the possibilities of it.
All right,
Hold on a second, got a motion second, all those in favor, let me know by the clerk vote. Motion passes, unanimously. Go ahead.
Thank you. Recently you accepted the bid from Larry Griffin with Morton Construction for soil cement and for milling and soil cementing on county roads. We're about to be in our prime season to do that work. If you have individual roads that you anticipate paving or needing this on, I need to get a list of those and inform Mr. Griffin kind of what he's got, in front of him, so we need to work that in. Supervisor Montgomery, I know you had mentioned Thompson Road, and if there are any others, I need to know what they are, and we need to coordinate that with the road manager. Because as I told before, once we do this soil cement stabilization, they don't need to lay there very long. We need to come right in behind and get our paving done.
You grind something like that, like I said, it'd be good to have your office and the road manager together on that. Say you do grind off Thompson Road or any other road, how long do you need before? I mean, a day or two, or right then? I mean,
No, within a day or two. I mean,
They just don't
probably
need to
the
let it
longest
crust
one we
back
did.
up.
One of the longest ones we did recently was Chapel Hill Road, and you see if they stay out there long, traffic gets on them, they start to ravel at the top. We don't get the finish that we need, so,
quicker the better.
quicker the better. I literally don't mind paving one the next day if we can coordinate that.
Do we need to do something on Thompson Road as far as, I mean, we already had a board order to get it ground. I guess we need to pick a contractor or what we need to do at this point. Do you need anything from us on that?
Not other than know when you would like to have it done so that I can let Mr. Griffin know. And naturally, if there are other roads that we wanna do that on, he'd like to do them all when he comes. So,
Mr. Baggett, as far as, I know it's been a minute on the board order about Thompson Road, as far as grinding it up and then maybe having our county forces come in and do the topping over it, do you have any idea on the timing that you may be, that your guy, I know the storm set us back, but do you have any idea? I think it was Johnson Road, what was the road? It was a couple of roads in Supervisor Williams' district. Once you got through that, then our guys will be available. Do you have a time frame that I might could tell him, Clyde?
No,
to
they'll
give-
give us, 2 or 3 days.
Okay. So I mean, we could proceed now because it's gonna take, if we went ahead now and tried to get somebody on that to grind that up, how long would it take them?
I just need to call, Larry Griffin and just see what their schedule is. I don't know where he is right now or what. And again, if you have other roads that you wanna do, I'd like to get those in the loop too.
Does anybody have another road they're just gonna grind?
Yeah, we have 3 roads in Blackjack. We don't need milling. They don't have to be milled. I don't believe, just a soil cement.
Okay.
And I believe from what I'm reading your memo, just soil cement is about 65,000.
I think that's right. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
Yeah,
it was less than the a mill and source.
Yeah, 85,000 for the millage and the source seed.
Correct.
So we do have some roads in Blackjack that we do need
Y'all
some source
just
seed, and I'll
sometime
be,
through the week, give me a list of those. And
Right.
Then I'll put it in front of Larry and see what it's getting.
okay.
Going
Okay.
to Thompson
Yeah.
Road.
Why, before you go, from 389 on County Lake Road up to Harrell Road, you got any idea when?
I think Supervisor Howard, that those are ready. If I remember, we were gonna let the slurry seal and kinda see what your funds look like and then do that. I will check on that when I get back in.
Okay.
Finally, in your package, I believe there was a permit application for Ironwood subdivision located on.
I didn't put it in their packet, but go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Bobby Atkinson is developing a subdivision out in Oktop, which is called Ironwood. Neil Schaefer Engineering prepared the plans and specifications. They satisfied all the permit requirements, did an admirable job with that. I recommended by email to Miss Emily that permit be approved. Are there any questions?
Explain that, the permit in terms of, what does that permit consist of? We didn't get it in our package, so I don't
Well,
really.
the permit
I
are the
don't
basic
understand.
guidelines for subdivision development that y'all passed, some
Right.
time back, requires a site plan, the number of lots for a large development like this, requires, proof of sanitary sewer, that they've got approval from the health department, approval from the water association that they can furnish the water. I believe in this instance, they had a few DEQ requirements with respect to silt fence and erosion control and that type. And I've been through it again in detail. Do you have a copy? You have a copy now, don't you, Miss Emily?
All I got was the letter.
Okay.
I didn't run got it.
The actual
All that.
permit application
Yes.
from Neil Schaefer is about this thick, but again, I went through item by item and they have totally satisfied what we asked
The
for.
reason why I
Roads,
asked you,
everything turned around.
reason why I asked you about that too is that it seems like they are doing, some paving projects out there in that subdivision. And will there be a request to adopt those roads? I don't,
No.
will they meet our specification?
No.
Will their payment meet our
In your permit,
specification?
in your permit application, there is a paragraph at the end of the application that says, I do or do not want the county to accept these roads. They have signatured that they do not
They
at
do
this
not.
time. That same paragraph says if you decline right now, you don't want the county to take them, don't talk to us for 10 years. So that's what they checked.
Was there any type of, impact on traffic study done on that?
Was not a traffic study done. We looked at their driveway locations and their site distance and that type of stuff, but not a traffic study. This is about 60 or so lots, I believe, single family home.
That's where it started building.
So their payment would not meet the county guideline?
Right now, no.
No.
And they've not asked for us to accept it.
On the Thompson Road,
Yes.
what do we need to do as far, is there anything that we need to do as a board? There's nothing we need to do to keep the project moving. You've already got,
You've accepted, Morton Construction's bid, so from our end, we're covered.
just give us a time frame.
I think it would be a good idea too on our, specifications for the county. You know, we did our guidelines, but now we've been through some time period and seen some areas that maybe we need to strengthen or weaken. I know in some areas they come in and ask for one permit for one lot at a time, like they're building in an entire subdivision, and we know they are, and that's a whole different, right, so I think that we need to maybe go back and, modify in some areas, just so people are aware. I think it's a good idea too for people to know that, it was the developer's decision whether they build the road to standards, so the county will maintain it in the future, and adopt it, or if it'll just be a 911 road, because I know that's something that we'll run into as they build homes in that subdivision, that the residents that buy out there will have the county to maintain the roads.
Yeah, if you'll remember, we started with nothing.
That's what I'm saying, this is just a
We
good.
come to here, and it probably is time to revisit this, because we've been through some of the logistics of going through and getting their addresses and dealing with some of this stuff. And, you know, as they call in and they ask about the road, we give them a copy of the county standards for the road, but, you know, it's probably time to revisit. We've got a handle now on kind of what it takes us to go through these things and review them. So, that's probably a good exercise to go through.
Sounds good.
Ms. Emma?
I hadn't voted on that, then I was gonna ask if you would, discuss the behind the jail.
We've done our survey work, we pulled our old boring work, and I'm putting plans together and estimates for that tonight. So that's gonna be a bid project, so, and it's gonna be a little bit hairy just because of where it is and access and all that kind of stuff. The hill behind the jail.
And he did an estimate of like 90,000 to put it back like it is, but putting it back like it is, we don't feel is the answer. Because I think I've been here 17 years and this is the 4th time. So he's.
That estimate was to, again, put things back just like it was, not to really repair anything, that was just going in some of the grant applications.
On the previous request, y'all want to take action on it, or we going to?
To revisit the,
The request.
For this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote sign. Motion passes unanimously.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Before you leave, could we sometime make an appointment to talk about the Chapel Hill drainage problem? And that might not have been a part of the original specification. If so, I need to know about that, and so we can move forward
Yeah,
in a
we
peaceful way.
need to wrap that up, we need to get that contractor
I think
paid.
you and I need to talk about that, and I'll make an effort to get in touch with you about it.
Very good.
Yeah.
We need to wrap that up, we need to get that contractor
Yeah,
paid.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Moving right along, drainage issue. Mr. Rogers, good morning, man.
Good morning. I see y'all have drainage. My problem is sewage. Not so much drainage as sewage. So that's a mistake, just a drainage. So I want to correct that. My heart is really saddened to have this to go on for years and years and nobody paid me any attention. To President Trainer and to the Active Howard County Supervisor Administrators, I'm talking to all of you and I'm begging. I've come before the board many, many times over 5 years. I've talked to the president many years. I've talked to the source many years. I have brought pictures to show many years. I've called the health department several times and nothing has been done. I've cried, I've been patient, I begged, and I prayed, and I tried to correct that problem. Now, if y'all had this in front of y'all home, I brought what I'm looking at 5 years, and I have told them I cannot take it. This is what I called the supervisor, asked him to come and look to see, because you can't visualize what I'm saying if you don't see it. And every day that I go out, I have to go out and look at mess like this in my yard, in my ditch in front of my house. And I'm thinking if y'all can see it and smell it, something would be done. I mean, I done had it. I don't know what else to do. I done prayed and I asked God to not let me live. If somebody white, this would have been done. It wouldn't have been these many years in front of somebody's house. And I mean, I really need to know. I have done everything that I could do. I've gone here and I've prayed to the good Lord to not let this continue, to let this happen to me. I am actually hurt because I don't think nobody else, it's somebody's sewage. Now I'm thinking it was the county. Now I can't do anything to a certain extent because if the county don't do it, if that was my property, I could, but this is the county property. And I'm thinking they should be able to do something. And when I asked for a paved that, even if that paved that wastewater, because the field line, the septic tank in front of the person's house, the field line is running right smack into, I guess it's on her property, where it can leak into the county property. So my thing is, if the county letting this happen to me, where can I go? I can't control the county property. You know, that ditch belongs to the county. Because if it was mine, I probably could do something about it. So now I'm asking y'all, I'm begging and pleading for somebody to do something. Or tell me what I can do. Cause I've been out there for 47 years. I've paid taxes. Never done anything. I mean,
Ms. Rogers, can I ask you a couple of questions, cause it may help me get my head wrapped
sure,
around it?
yes.
What did the health department tell you when they came out to look?
They saw something, but the person was smart enough to uncover that line and cap it off in front of the health department. And they said they saw them cap it, the water would not come down that line. They didn't reroute it. So as soon as the health department left, they uncapped it, and the water came right back down that line. It never stopped. I went back to the health department and told them. They say, well, Ms. Rogers, we saw him when he capped it. And when they left, he uncapped it because I saw it with my own eyes. And they still didn't do nothing. Been coming down there for 5 years, the same spot.
It sounds to me like you have a legal issue with your neighbor. This is what it sounds like.
I don't have no legal issue. I have the issue because she said it's not hers. So I don't know who it is. That's why I'm back up here now. Because when I went back there, she said it's not coming from mine. So I'm trying to see who can come out and find out where it's coming from.
I had a citizen that had that problem, and when she called, I got the number from Miss Emily that we had for the person at the health department, and they were out there that next day addressing it. And so, but I gave Miss Rogers that same phone number, and that person doesn't work any longer for the health department. So I don't know if it's something that the board can do to reach out as a board to the health department, because the specific number I had, the lady that called me, I got the number from Miss Emily, and they took care of it immediately in my district. So I'm not sure if there's something we can do.
The problem we have is
She said he no longer works there.
if the
I gave
issue,
it to Miss Rogers.
if the issue is on someone else's property and it's flowing into that ditch, then the health department should go out there and
Sure.
and do something.
I think my problem is, I think the person was in favoritism. Because the health department did tell them they needed a spray system. I was there when they, then after they did that, they had the water really coming over into my property too. They had it in tributaries. Some come here, but we put up a little fence to keep it from coming on our property. So they got it all now coming straight down in that ditch. So I went to the person and asked her, what can I do, what can we do to eradicate this? She said, it's not mine. So now, what do I do? I mean, she says it's not hers, and I'm saying it is. What do you do?
You take them to court.
I can't take them to court on no county, with the county.
But it's not, you're having them do something that harms your property, and you can take her to civil court to deal with that. That being said, if the ditch was the problem, then obviously the county needs to get over there and deal with it. But the county, that sounds to me like it's coming from someone else's property, and we can't go onto their property any more than we can come onto your property.
I don't want y'all to come on her I want to the ditch. That's what I'm concerned about, the county property. You know what I'm saying? Not going to her property, because I know it's private, you can't.
Well, Ms.
But I'm
Rogers,
thinking
I
about
was
the
by
county.
there. I
Huh?
went and looked the other day and it was dry. Is
See,
it a certain time?
No. That's why I asked y'all to come when I'm there so I can show you. The ditch right now, anything right now is pretty dry. But if that water's seeking under that ground, it's gonna always stay wet. Because if I'm flushing my toilet, taking a bath and washing every day, where's that water gonna come? It's still gonna come. If you did not see where that water was coming from, it is not dry. Cause it's tall grass and it's wet. So that's why I say if y'all come when I come, when I'm there, so I can show you. Because if you ride by, where I got this from this morning, when I start digging, it stays wet. And that's why I brought this for somebody, since nobody won't come and see it. I asked y'all, when y'all come, please call me so I can show you.
I did come out. It's been a couple of years ago, because I think you approached the board.
I did, but see,
So
y'all not looking where you're supposed to need to look. That's what I'm saying. If I had shown that thing, it's there. Mr. Trainer have been out several times, he sees it, he know exactly. So when y'all passing that grass, I don't know how you can't see for 2 feet from my property, from that ditch, 2 feet. And it goes in front of my whole yard, my whole acre.
I think we got an issue here, rather than Ms. Rogers pressing charges. The material is flowing on county property. So that makes it a whole different issue.
That's right.
It's not flowing on her property.
The question would be how much does the county want to spend on that ditch? I mean, I don't know that we have a solution.
But they're not, there you go. Instead of Ms. Rogers pressing charges, it seems like the charges should come from the county. If the county is
I don't know what
unhappy,
charges we would.
if the county is unhappy with that material.
You know, I had good results, in my district from one phone call to the health department, from the number that Miss Emily had. That person no longer works there. Can we not just write a letter or have Miss Emily contact the health department on Miss Rogers' behalf to come and investigate it, because, she appears to be, not having, good results from that, and so we asked them to contact her via her cell phone, and she'll give it to you, and let them come out and actually look.
Your correspondence should come from us instead of coming from Ms. Rogers. I don't understand that we were flowing on Ms. Rogers' property, but it's not flowing on Ms. Rogers' property. It's flowing on our property.
Thank you, he did come out, I appreciate it.
Supervisor, Trainer, this is your district, so what lead do you want? I mean, I kinda wanna hear from
Whatever, at this point,
Supervisor's district.
whatever we can do to resolve this problem, I'm for it. So, I mean, whatever be resolved to make Ms. Rogers happy, and I'll make the motion for it, and that's far down.
I'm glad you, thank you.
I'll make the motion over Ms. Rogers that we, contact the health department for her. And ask them to please contact her and come out and investigate the issue, so we can see what our next steps will be to resolve this. I know it just took one phone call in my district, from a number that the county administrator had, and they came out to a resident on Pleasant Ridge Drive, and it was the same type of issue. It was running in front of her house, but in the ditch. You know, it was raw sewage, and they got it corrected just like that, and made people put in a septic tank. So,
We can contact her on her behalf, but I'm gonna refer to our legal, our board attorney, to kinda look at the legal steps and see what, I mean, see what we need to do as a board legally, to start working on this.
Yes, sir.
When could he come back? However, this doesn't need to be resolved as quick as we possibly can. So when are you asking that he come back with a response?
Well, just as quick as he can research it and see what.
In that next board meeting?
At least by next board meeting.
Next board meeting.
Y'all, it's gonna take long. I mean, I hate to say this, but this has gone on for what, 5 years?
Longer, yes.
Probably. It's
Right.
probably gonna take a little time, because I got a feeling that if, they're gonna have to find out if this is sewage and what exactly
What
it
the
is.
origin of it
Right, what the origin of this is, and I don't even know that, let me ask this, I'm catching up here. Has that been looked into to see what the origin of this is?
Well, that's why I say,
Mr.
if
Trainer,
we
let
don't
me
see
say
one-
something on Mr. Trainer's defense. And Mr. Trainer has been out there looking into that situation. He has done everything that I think he possibly can do. He came up with recommendations. I heard Ms. Rogers say things about some of the recommendations that he made, and I think he's been really trying to address that situation, in the past. And, Mr. Trainer, I think a lot of these questions need to go to Mr. Trainer in terms of what he thinks we should be doing, and including that motion that was made earlier.
Well, I'm
We
gonna second
don't
the
wanna
motion.
leave them out.
No.
You second that.
Yeah, I second the motion.
I just wanna be careful and make sure we're not sending them out on somebody that's, I mean, they saying it's not them, So I wouldn't wanna go and send them to somebody and it's not them.
Right.
You know, I wanna make sure we do the research to find out.
That was my concern, is if I send some, if we throw a threatening letter out there to another
Correct.
constituent and then it's not.
Correct.
My motion was to address the
Yeah.
health department
Alright.
for them to come out
I
and
see. The health
investigate.
department would do their job.
Let the health department do that, thank you, let the health department do their job, look into it and see what's going on.
We went through all this several years ago, and she just mentioned when they came, it was capped off. We've had the health department out there before.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
Probably
yeah, they
about-
kept it off, and I went back to the
Yeah,
health
about
department and
6
told
years
them in
ago.
3 months, cause it never stopped.
Yeah.
And they said, we closed the case because we saw them when they capped it, and I told them I saw them when you left, they uncapped it, and the water is still coming out of the same place.
Yes, I see.
Now, it's only one house that it could come from, because if this is my acre right here, this is hers. And if it's 2 feet from mine, and her septic tank is in the front of the house, and that field line is in the front, now you're not gonna tell me that that's somebody else's. Now, you just in denial, because I mean, it's been going on in the same spot, and it had not stopped. And I put some little bricks in that, and that water coming from under the ground is seeking in there. I gotta take them things up, that's what I did. Mr. Trainer told me to do what I think I need to do, and that's what I did.
Well, it all, I saw the bricks and everything, it all.
I did that, and when it did, and I took them bricks up, that water come under the ground, it just soaked.
So it's under the bricks.
It's under the bricks now, and I gotta get them bricks up because it's spread on my property and out in the ditch too, it's messy.
Ms.
Now-
Rogers, what's your address?
5101 Old West Point Road, Starkville.
Did you just go here locally, or did you call the health department in Jackson? Did you ever call Jackson, or did you just?
It was favoritism.
Mr. Posey.
Yes,
is in
the
contact
people
with-
from Oxford
Of
came
Jackson?
and told us it was underground water, cause they had a pipe on top of another pipe, so when you pull it, it was dry. So the people from Oxford came out, and they sent a letter to my family, my neighbor family, and the health department. And nothing was never done. I called back to Oxford, and they told me the only thing they can do is recommend it to our health department. They had to do something, they could not, they just come and make recommendation. And when they told me they closed the case, they would not look into it anymore, they said they closed it.
Ms. Rogers, do you still have the letter that was sent to you back then?
No, 'cause this is what I said after nobody did anything. I said, the devil is a lie, I'm gonna tear this up. I could not live and read this and knowing that people did that, so I got rid of
I'm
it
not saying
a couple
that
of
this
years.
is what happened, I'm asking, did they say that there was a spring or something that water was coming from?
No, the person from Oxford told my husband and I, it is a pipe they done dug, that field line pipe, they got it deep in the ground. So it come from, it's underground water, it's not that, it's right on the top. The people in Oxford told us that, 'cause they came out and did some investigation.
So it's so it's a sewer line that's been dropped really deep?
Kind of, yes. It have to, in order for that water to come under the
It's seeping
ground.
up out of the water,
Huh?
out of the ground, is what you're saying.
It's in the ground a little deeper than usual.
All right, with the board's permission, I'd like permission to do a little bit more investigating on this and try to figure out what's going on a little bit better. Because obviously, she's got some issues out there that, and I'll go ahead and get the letter together, but I probably need to investigate a little bit more before I send it.
Please do that. And when somebody come, I just want them to see what I'm really talking about. Cause I'd have done something, build it up a little bit to make the water go back instead of coming here, but it's still,
I saw the bricks,
yes. Cause I mean, nobody won't do nothing, so I'm trying to do something myself. I can't live like this.
Would you mind writing your telephone number down here?
Oh, okay, sure. Anything else?
At this point, I just wanna call you and make sure you're there before I come. Should I wear my boots?
Cause you can stand on the side of the road. Now, if you gonna get out there and try to find, you gonna need some.
Yeah, I'll wear my boots.
You start digging, you might have to wear a little bit.
I really appreciate that, y'all, cause I promise you, it's sad.
We appreciate you coming. Any more questions, comments, any
I got a
no?
motion and a second.
Motion and second, motion by myself, second by Supervisor. We already did that one. This is one for him to do further investigation. Second by Supervisor McDermott. Are there questions on the motion? All those in favor, let you know by the public vote. Motion passed. Thank you, Ms. Ross.
Thank you
You have
all.
a great day.
Sure.
Moving right along to the Institute for Building Technology and Safety. Ms. Collins, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, supervisors. It's a pleasure for us to be here today. I'm Claire Collins. I'm program director with the Institute for Building Technology and Safety, and we're located headquartered in Virginia. So I would like to thank you for recognizing the tragedy that happened in Virginia. It's affecting not only just the city of Virginia Beach, but the entire Commonwealth. And it's really appreciated for you all to recognize us. And with me today is Piper Campbell. She's our solutions manager, and we're very happy to be here today. First, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what we do as an institute. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we provide, we help communities to help them help themselves in helping to provide community solutions to some of their needs and issues that they have in working with the elected officials and the appointed officials, and also to make sure that everything is safe for the residents and businesses, because one of the chief reasons that we have government is for the public health, safety, and welfare of the government. So we try to help address that, not based on what we see, based on what you and your community sees as a need. So that if there's something that we can do to help, we will help you in some way to address those needs. So today we were going to go over an approach that we have, but I'm just going to share something about myself first, and then I'll turn it over to Piper so that she can actually go through an approach, and then we're going to share some information with you. I am a former Board of Supervisors in Virginia. I served 6 years for a county, and 6 of those 2 years, instead of having presidents and vice presidents like you do have here in Mississippi, we have chair and vice chair, so I chaired our board for 2 of the 6 years. So I served 2 terms as a board member. Prior to that, I'm a former also county administrator, have more than 20 years in local government management experience, both as a county administrator and a short stint as a city manager. So I just wanted to give you some of my background. IBTS hired me to help them with their community solutions, as well as anything to do with communities when they're in need, and I'll give some examples of things that we do in need. In need has been if there's a need for looking at how you can actually do the work better, assessing your organization to actually operationally be more effective and better use of the taxpayers' funds. We've done that. We've also been able to provide updates to comprehensive plans, strategic planning, visioning for purposes of communities. And then some of the other things we've done has been like with disasters, like if you have a recent flooding or storm event, we've been able to go in and actually help write the projects and help those communities get funding. So we also look at grants and the capability of what are your options for funding, external funding from, and I heard today some issues that there might be some opportunities for funding that we could look at for you in the future. But our approach today is look at what your needs are, how we can help you help ourselves. And so I'm going to turn it over to Piper so she can introduce herself. We can do musical chairs.
We have folders because we're going to quickly go over some information. I'm Piper. Claire is my mentor. I have many mentors in our company, and they're all some kind of city official, some a county administrator. The concept of local government solutions is slightly different. Originally, we were a division that was supposed to work with cities or communities running all of their city services. I was brought on just as we started that approach. I told my bosses that I didn't think that was the right approach. approach. I don't see that as being a need for most communities. We should scale it back. We have leadership in these brain think tanks, like the folks behind me, who have great solutions, but they're smaller scale. They're custom to very specific needs per community. Why go at this? It's such a broad situation. It doesn't make sense, not in my elementary brain. From a management standpoint, it doesn't make sense. So I approached my bosses and I said, can we scale this back? And they said, absolutely, run with it. What do communities need? So with the communities we do have under our belts, we run a city in central Louisiana, and we used to run Guyman, Oklahoma. In both cases, we ran those cities perfectly fine. But it started to even running a city, we learned that the communities in itself need more attention, very specific attention. Most of the time, it starts at workforce processes. Are you running any kind of community to the best standards of what the citizens want? So we put teams together, and we are matching teams to hopefully fulfill what the county workforce is doing to help citizens better, faster, more efficient, with the appropriate funding. So with that said, it's kind of difficult to explain, and I'm really bad at this because I'm a think tank. I sit in my room and I work with my teams to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. So Claire's spoken to some of you to help explain our approach. Our approach is really listening to everybody here at the table, any of the citizens that are behind me, I can't see, look, anybody who wants to know where we're currently standing as your county, and where you want to be in the future. That sounds like a simple process, but it's not. Everybody has a different agenda, everybody has a different vision, everybody has different ideas of how to get to wherever you want to be in the next 20 years. So the approach that we came up with is sitting with you guys first, really dialing down to what you want. What do you see the county becoming? Is it more development? Is it less development? Is it more city involvement? Is it centralized city involvement? What do you want? How do you want to get there? Where's your stumbling blocks? Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? Going through every single one of the steps to make sure 20 years from now, there's some kind of guideline that's working now to get you there later. We don't know those answers. I can't sit here and tell you I recommend that you do whatever it is that you feel you should do. I have no idea what the answers are until we sit down and talk and go through the good, bad, and the ugly. Give out what's been done in the past that was really good, what was really done poorly, what projects are significant projects, what projects are a waste of time. Those very down and dirty ideas. So we have a full approach. It's long, it's 4 prongs, and each prong has a different milestone, different report, different step. But the idea here is to help an unbiased approach to get you to where you want to be. Work through your workforce. Is everybody working in that same motion? All projects working towards the greater good. Are we going off on tangents? Let's road back in those tangents and make sure that any project that comes across, any task, daily tasks, long-term tasks, are getting you to where you want to be. We'll give you guidelines to do that. We will show you projects that can go through a SWOT analysis to make sure it is worth time and money and funding and expenses. Hopefully, we will show you the projects that aren't worth your time, that is a waste of time, that there's just going to be wasted investment altogether. So, in the packets, I do have the team I perceive as being the best team to help you guys do that. The team includes some former city managers, department heads, a planner with 25 years of economic development. We have a funding expert, a process funding expert. She can help us determine projects and funding pretty quickly, whether or not a project can be funded or if it's steering in the right direction to be funded. And we have our advisors that Claire can go over, so we have a layered effect. So you have your boots on the ground folks, then we have advisors that can say if we're steering in some strange direction. And at the end of the day, it's a good long set of process. The first process is the longest. It's 6 months of talking, assessing, getting inside your brains, figure out what you want, what you don't want, and then dissecting all that. And that side of the process takes another 8 months. So 16, 18 months total process. And at the end, there's a set of guidelines and procedures to help anybody move forward. So whether it's citizens, current staff, old staff, everybody will understand exactly where your vision is, how you want to move forward, and steer away from the ones that would waste time. So that's our idea.
Yeah, and I was gonna add that one of the things that this process does is it helps engage your citizens in the community. Sometimes those of us, that work it all the time and are elected, we often find that, we only hear from the same citizens. We only hear from citizens when they have a problem. Or actually, what you hope you're hearing from citizens regularly, no matter what, so that it's not just when there's a problem, so that they are fully engaged and that everything that is coming up from to you is actually not just a problem, but it's an opportunity also to better the county and to make it better for the citizens that live there. So that's part of what our approach does to make sure we can get that citizen engagement. That's so important. And it also helps you as a board. It helps the county staff too, because a citizen, sometimes the best idea is an idea you've never heard of, that somebody says, well, I'm not gonna say that. Well, every idea is a good idea as long as it's communicated. And that's an approach that we take, because that way you see all the information that comes from these meetings, and then you as a board and the county staff can determine what is it working with the citizens that is your priority. And it may even be priority funding, it may be priority needs that haven't been addressed. It may be something that's gone unsaid for years that really is eating at people, but they haven't said it, but they'd like to say it, and so this gives them an opportunity to have an open forum, which is very different approach than what you normally would be seeing in a community, because oftentimes it's just word on the street is. Well, word on the street sometimes never gets back to the county supervisors or the county administration. So then when it comes, the only time you may hear about it is election time. So that's the other issue that I wanted to share with you that we have. But as program director, some of the things that we may be also looking at is, like you said today, looking at to modify some of your policies or your regulations. Those are some things that we also do as a nonprofit. So we have a team of advisors that basically have organizational assessment background, former local government manager, a former senior planner, that as program director, my job would be to make sure the entire project oversight is done according to meet your needs, not to meet our needs. And they would be I'd go back to them, questions you may have, I'd go back to them with their senior experience and say, this is what's going on in the county and we really need your help. So I just wanted to share that and end it with you and give you an example of some of the things that we've done. Like City of Central, Piper mentioned. The City of Central, what we were able to go in, they had a workload of cases. We had to put in new workload processes for them, and then within a period of 6 months, their work orders we got them down by 80%. Guess what? The citizens were happy, the community's happy. Our people did it though. Our internal people actually did that work, so that it wasn't the city people having to do it. It was actually our internal people getting those workload orders accomplished. Durant, Oklahoma, we went in, the local government manager was completely overloaded. They could not handle all their community development needs. So we went in and we helped them stabilize their department, help them restructure their process, and now they're able to do more than what they've been able to do in the past. A county that we worked in Virginia, prime example, we basically, new county manager came in, they could not handle what was going on because it was so, everything was in a silo. So we took them out of a silo and organized their process so they were able to get grant funding. They were able to actually bring in, do infrastructure projects that they didn't think. They created partnerships within the region to actually get that grant funding. And those projects then, they got the most money in grants ever in that county in its history. So those are kinds of things that we've done. And I don't know if Piper had anything else you'd like to explain. But we're here to help you help yourselves. We're not here to say we're gonna do this A, B, C, D for you, because that's not what we do. So I would like entertain any questions that you may have. We met President Traynor at the National Association of Counties legislative meeting in DC. We are very involved, what I didn't share with you, we're very involved in working with NACO. We have, our board of directors is all board affiliated directors, and NACO has a presence on our board of directors, as well as National League of Cities, ICMA, which is the International City County Managers Association, the Council of State Governments, which actually represents like the Governors Association. So I wanted to share with you, so our nonprofit is all government affiliated.
I've got a town that's in my district, a town of Maven, which is a small town. Do y'all work with like small towns?
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we would be willing to help out small towns. In fact, Maven is where the volunteer fire department is.
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah,
That's correct.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
correct. But I think I'm just listening, because it sounds like y'all come in, gather information, and develop sort of like a strategic plan type deal. Sounds like, you know, that would be very beneficial. Not saying that it wouldn't be for us too, but I can really see where that service would really help the town of Maven.
Yeah, we like to go in and really help the small to medium-sized communities to help them to learn how to help, for them to help themselves, learn how to do that and bring it so that it's not just a plan, we even give them, you know, this is your next steps, and try to help them through the process. So we don't just walk away and say, you've just got something that sits on the shelf, because that doesn't work in government. If it sits on the shelf, you didn't need it to begin with. And then your residents say to you, why did you do that? Why did you even spend that money if you're not gonna move forward with making sure you implement it? So that's the other issue that I see that's very important. The small to medium-sized communities have needs that often they can't meet, and we like to help them meet those needs. Any other questions?
Yeah, I understand that you help develop some plans.
Yes.
And something similar to ongoing strategic planning. You did mention too that you take the next step forward as acquiring funding, and that might be grant funding. How successful have you been
I'll give you an
with
example.
acquiring grant funds?
Okay, in Florida, one of the programs I'm over is for some of the small localities that are down in Florida. We actually have gone in and especially that are disaster prone, and we've written, for one small locality, we've written 6 grants for hazard mitigation funds. That 4 of them are pending, 2 have been funded thus far. We're waiting for, and those are just recent. So most all of our work that we've been doing, and the examples I gave are in the past 2 years, so the recent examples. These will actually help them mitigate situations like there's a breakwater jetty. Give an example, breakwater jetty, which is kind of similar to dam. It's because it's more on the water, to actually mitigate the whole situation from reoccurring in the future. So they'll be putting in place through hazard mitigation funds, so that when a storm event hits again, it's not going to come back. But the other grant that we just finished writing is for their utilities, which is in a lower area of their community, and it's to actually mitigate that area so that they won't have utility outages in the future, so that they can actually make sure that their utilities are up above what could be a situation, because they've had constant, even when the wind, they have issues with where the location is. So it's like a relocation of their chief utilities, their main utility structures, to be able to another location to get that safer for the citizens. Because if they're losing power when there's any kind of high wind, they've got an issue. I mean, basically anything can happen, and they need to make sure their community's safe. The other things we've done is we've gotten, one of the grants we just got funded was for generators, to mitigate the fact that they had community centers and areas where the public went to that they couldn't keep open, and because when the power went out, so now they're getting generators for those places. So it can be a small project, it can be a larger project. I heard you all talking about your dam safety project today and looking at options for funding, and that's gonna be a large project for y'all. That's something that we could help you look at too, what would be the options for that. Or if you have economic development projects that may need funding, community development projects, how we could look at those too. So those are types of issues that we look at and see what options you have and bring them back to you.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is knowing where the funding source is at.
Right.
Knowing who has the money purse.
That's right.
And I guess you would know more than most people in terms of where the funding source
will be
located.
Yes, with our board of directors being those organizations, what happens is the federal sources that are available usually come to our attention first, because we're located in Virginia, and we often hear about the grant funding before others would hear it, before it ever goes public, before they send out the notice of funding availability. And then the state level, you know, so much of the federal grant funding trickles down to the state, particularly your community development funding. And oftentimes for workforce housing and things of that nature, there may be a pot of money, but it's just not known. It's not available to the communities to know about it, because they go through a master planning process, so you have to have those plans in place before you can ever seek that funding. So if you don't have the plan, you're not gonna get the funding, but they may already know, the state may already know which localities have it, so they alert those localities first, which is from my experience, past experiences, what I found out is that the state may have a pocket of money, and even if you ask them, they may not let you know, because they've been talking to ABC community out here, who they've already prioritized as what the funding will go for based on the criteria of the funding. That's the other issue too that I've discovered. Though they're also, and you can approach this, you could also directly approach the governor's office if you have a certain project that you think you're having difficulty with, and say, sometimes they have leftover funding at the end of the fiscal year of federal funds that have come to the state that often go unused. And I'll just give you a previous example. 2 neighborhood improvement projects, when I was an elected official, got funded without applying for grants through that process, because there were leftover funding.
But before you can get that far, like, she just got you to the end. At the county level, if we can have the plan in place at the county level, and then bring it back down at the city level, you can use all your resources city level, bring it up to the county level, and then you have a bigger pot of money to share in the districts. And then but you have to have the strategy and move it down. And then you have more force to get more money to make everyone happy, because who doesn't like money? So that's kind of why we're here, in a nutshell.
And then the other issue is that there may be other projects or other programs you want to put in place that you haven't been able to put in place as a board or as staff, that the community really wants, and this would come out of that planning, that really would need to look at seeking what funds are outside of just the taxpayer funding that you have available to you.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming today. I think you put a lot on the board's mind. I'm hoping that after this election cycle, that our new board would really strongly take this idea and this proposal under consideration. I always say this county is growing faster than we can keep up with. I think it's going to be
it's
incumbent on
noticeable.
us to partner with people who can help us to handle the road and prepare for what's to come. But we appreciate you all coming.
Yeah, you have a beautiful community, you can tell it's a growing community, driving through the community yesterday. So many places elsewhere that I've been to they would feel so blessed to have what you have here. It's very, very nice community.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Wish you safe
Thank
travels.
you all so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Road manager report, Ms. Bagley.
Morning. Have you submitted, monthly report as usual? I'll ask any questions or anything anyone has, the best I can.
I got a request here that was made known to me from the health department, about the parking lot needing some attention with some potholes. Is that something that the board can authorize the road manager to investigate and also to address the potholes in the parking lot
Of the health.
of the health department?
We had to do that too.
Need a motion?
Got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the code vote. Motion passes unanimously.
On the pothole issue, the Sturgis Pike Rally will be here in August again. And, some of those streets around that area, I would like for the pothole patching machine to go out there and go up and down those streets, please. And I had also put in a request for, pothole patching machine to go up and down Courthouse Road. I know we're gonna fix a section, but it's just a small section and we're not to that yet. But it also needs to go up and down Courthouse Road too, please.
Well, since we,
I've got a issue that came from a letter from the Starkville Consolidated School District, asking for some help with Octavia County Teachers Associations have requested help with cleanup on one of their areas over there. And the only way we can do it is, my understanding, is through local and private. We would have to go into some kind of contract with the school district to allow us to do this cleanup out there. Otherwise, it would be illegal. We can't legally go onto their property unless we own it, or unless there's some kind of operational thing that we've agreed to and gotten okay with. I tried to get in touch with the school district, I guess a week ago, to make certain they understood that dynamic. And Mr. Baggett, Dr. Baggett and I were never able to get in touch, not Mr. Baggett, but Dr. Baggett that worked at the school district, were never able to get in contact with each other. I need to know what the will of this board is for me to try to proceed with that, or not proceed with that, or what do y'all want me to do?
Cleanup are you talking?
It's basically, let me read the letter to you.
Dealing with the East Octavia.
It's
Property.
more high property, and they're basically, sorry. See here, hold it, goes off. The Octavia County Teachers Associations have requested to use the campus of East Octavia High School for a celebration during the month of June. We have agreed and stated and started preparation for the grounds and celebration. With this letter, I'm requesting that the Octavia County Board of Supervisors assist Starkville Octavia County School District in mowing and doing a required maintenance of the event being hosted by Octavia County Teachers Association. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact me. Well, I had a few questions and I wasn't able to get a hold of them, but the bottom line is that we cannot go onto that property without some kind of contract of deal to do this. Now, we can do this with a interlocal agreement, just like we would work with any other community, but we can't just go out there.
What was the Teachers Association?
It was not the right reference. It should have been the East Octavia Educational Association, but they referred to the teachers. That was the wrong reference, but that's the same group. They came here. Right.
I gotta ask a question as far as the depth of this cleanup, and I guess I've asked the question, does the school, do they have tractors, bush hogs, things like that? Do they?
I think the school probably has, I know they have mowers and they probably do have some level of tractors and bush hogs. But this effort is probably going to be a partnership effort, not only between us, the school, and then we also got the community that's on standby. I think Dr. Thomas represents the community that's really on standby to really help aid.
I totally understand that, but what I'm asking is, and I asked it in that meeting, that we had, when it kinda came up, when the group came before us, is do they not have equipment to do that? Can they not maintain their property with equipment that they have? I've seen tractors, bush hogs, things like that, with school district on the side of it.
The bulk of that landscaping is contracted out.
I really wish that they would maintain their property.
You know, we can go out there and,
Well, what I'm saying, and you're correct, we're just talking, and I'm not done, Supervisor, but you're right, we are just talking about bush hogging. And that's why I keep bringing up, do they not own bush hogs? I mean, I don't mind going to one of the school district's meetings and kinda ask that board that. A lot of people in the community have certainly asked me that. You know, why are we being asked to do something on their property that they have the equipment to maintain it? And it's like I said in that meeting there, is that we have a set budget. We have a millage that's given, that we have left after giving it to the school district. I mean, we can't keep being required to do the health department's job. Our job, you know, I mean, the schools, you know, they're in the position to be able to maintain their property. And, simple as that.
Finish.
I am finished.
Yeah. Okay. Again, we're only talking about bush hogging, and there's no expense involved other than some gas and labor to go out there and do, which would relate to maybe 2 or 3 hours worth of labor time. So that's all we're talking about. In addition to that, we're talking about a county school. We're not talking about a city school. This is Octavia Hall County City School District. So this is our school. And we have previously done work on county school property without an interlocal agreement. So now, if we do have to have an interlocal agreement, let us define what steps we have to take. And I hope that we're not talking about taking this back to Jackson when you all go back into session on January 8th. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you typing up something that would be sufficient for the school system to sign and for us to sign, which I hope would not take much time to do so, because we're talking about an event that's going to take place on June the 22nd. So we have already agreed that we would do work on county school property, on county school. This is a county school. We've already agreed that we would do the simple bush hogging. We're not talking about maintaining that property. We're talking about going out and doing 2 or 3 hours worth of bush hog work. So with that in mind, you would be the person to draw up an interlocal agreement, have the school system to sign it, and have us to sign it, and then move forward. And I hope that would not take very much time, because time is important. Time is important now, since the event is on June the 22nd. And let me remind you again, and remind the audience, that we are talking about a county school that we want to do 2 or 3 hours worth of bush hog work.
Rob, let me ask you something, just for clarity purposes. This is always been sort of confusing to me. And in order to do work for the school or go on school property to work, we need the interlocal. That includes going patching in the parking lots, at the school district parking lots.
That's right.
Okay, also, there's another thing that comes in the mix. We go down here each year and we bush hog the airport, at the airport.
That's
Now, I'm asking now, just for clarity purposes, what's difference in each one of those scenarios? Because we, if I think Octavia County at the airport is what, 40% or 20%, city, county, and then MSU. But the county is the one that every year is down there doing the maintaining. So I'm trying to figure out now, how is it that we have to go down there every year, and the county has to be the one to do the maintaining, when I'm sure the city has tractors, bush hoggers, things like that too.
I think that's something we can readdress this year, you know, after
Well,
last
let me,
year.
I'm asking him first of all, let him explain to me my question, and then you can say whatever it is.
There are several issues here. One of the issues when you're dealing with airports, we have ownership in that property. We have a fiduciary duty to deal with things that we own. So we own a portion of that. The big difference with the school district is the school district owns that property. They own it in and of itself outright, except for the 16th section property. 16th section property, I mean, it belongs to the state. And then the school district gets a lease agreement if we can do something or whomever leases it with them. The biggest issue we've got there though is we've always been able to go onto their driveways and parking lots and things like that, help them with that. And I think that was state law allowed us to do that. I mean, that was kind of state law allowed us to do that as a help to our county school district.
So it's specific in that law, does it specific say driveways and parking lots?
Parking lots is what it says.
Okay, and I just needed clarity on that because.
It's really confusing. I did the same thing you did. When I first looked at this, I honestly thought that we could go out there because it was the county property. My knee jerk was that we could go out there and do whatever we wanted to do. And to be honest with you, I'm not suggesting that what happened in the past shouldn't have happened, but it probably needed to have been done a little differently. That's not to say that I think we did anything illegal. I just think that it probably should have been taken care of. The one thing that I will tell this board is that the school district was smart enough to get insurance coverage for these events that are going on, but honestly puts our road manager in a really bad position to go out there on property that doesn't belong to us, because it's private property at that point. We've gotten somebody out there on private property. That being said, if I'm looking at the school district as though it's just like any other governmental entity. We could do an interlocal with the city of Starkville, we can do an interlocal with Maben, we can do an interlocal with other communities that surround us because they are connected to us. The interlocal agreement that I'm looking at with the school district would be something that we are agreeing that's a benefit to each party to have this done, and it's not something that we would have to jump through any hoops to go do. It just has to be done.
So, you have to tackle something for
they have to
both
agree to
parties,
it, right.
for both parties to sign.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to also emphasize the fact that when it came across the table that we do an interlocal agreement to upkeep St. Mark Road, that was no problem, because that interlocal agreement was between Mississippi State and the county. Now, we'll spend a lot of money on upkeeping St. Mark Road. That's what we're really putting some money into. So we're not really talking about putting money into bush hogging, other than to have one person to go out with a bush hog and for 2 or 3 hours. So this is not, we can't look at this in terms of spending a lot of funds to be able to do this. So with that in mind, I'm gonna motion that we allow Attorney Robinson to draw up an interlocal agreement for signatures coming from both parties, Octavia County Board of Supervisors and Octavia County City School District.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any more discussion concerning the motion?
Yes, in relation to that, I wish that we could do that as soon as possible. And I know you have so many things that you need to do other than taking on additional tasks, but they would like to see this bush hogging being done on June the 22nd. So I don't know whether we could kind of speed that up as possible. soon as possible.
What's on June 22nd? What's the name of it?
The event is.
Juneteenth celebration.
Yeah,
Juneteenth.
Any more questions, comments? If not,
I wonder, is the power in the water for what's going on there? Cause in the pictures that they showed us, they were, had some music and some dancing and
I
things
knew
like
y'all
that.
were gonna ask
Is
me
the
every one of
school-
these questions, and I wish I could've gotten Dr.
I mean, I
Barrett
just
on the
wondered
phone.
if they had turned on the power in the water, if they're going to have a function, is that something that that group would then turn back over?
The function normally is not in the inside of the building, the function is on the grounds in the front of the building.
Right, I understand, I
think-
just saw the pictures and they had music playing and different things like that.
I got from the impression I did have one conversation with them, I got the impression that they were ready for this, and they had everything kind of prepared except for what they were asking us to do.
Right.
That being said, I did have a couple of other questions, and bless his heart, it was the end of the school year, and he just didn't have a chance to get back in touch with me. But this shouldn't take me very long to get it together. I just wanted to make certain I had us covered in what we were trying to do.
I would like to say, however, that this is not the first event. This event has taken place previously, so it might even be the third event. And I believe too, that, this is not something new, in other words.
Yes, sir.
That's taking
Exactly
place.
right.
They have already worked out the logistics of it, been worked out.
I would just like to say in the future, and I know the board is concerned with the proper use and being frugal with our tax dollars and things like that. But I would also like for us to be consistent with that. I mean, if we're going to say, well, they've got tractors and they've got this and why can't they do it? I think that needs to be consistent.
That's right.
I don't think, I think we should demand that of other entities that has tractors and bush hogs and things, when the county's the one continually.
That agreement out there at the airport's been long set up since even before Vic was in. This is something new.
Yeah, I know,
So
but
I'm
we
gonna
still.
stick to that
I
because,
know.
like Supervisor Williams said, if it's not gonna take very much time, then I'm gonna stick to that. No different than if we asked the school to bush hog our roads, what they would say to us. And I wouldn't be, and I wouldn't blame them for telling us, that's our responsibility. That's plain and simple.
I totally
Plain and simple.
understand, but on the other hand, city has tractors and bush hogs and
Correct.
stuff, and they own part of that.
And that's why, like
stuff.
Supervisor Miller
So-
said, that's something maybe we do need to revisit.
Well,
Because
that's all I'm saying is
That's
just-
an old
Absolutely.
agreement that,
But
like I
we
said,
can
it's
still
something
be
that does.
consistent. We can
Correct,
still be
correct.
consistent, and that's
that
all I'm
is-
asking of the
and
board.
This
Let's
is an
just be
old
consistent.
agreement that's been in since the 80s.
That's true, but all I said, it's an opportunity to be consistent regardless.
And that's why I'm open to that, if we wanna look and get the city in some discussion to see if they could, maybe we can do it one time, they can do it another time. I know there are people that would love to cut that hay, you might could find somebody that would come in there and cut, rake and roll and take that away and save expense on both ends, so.
Alright.
Anytime we can further our
Absolutely.
tax dollar, I'm
Absolutely.
all for it, but at the same time, when I feel like, as a county supervisor, and I represent the people in my district and county-wide, when I feel like that we're being asked to do something that's not in our realm of responsibility, that another entity, even if it is the school, this is their responsibility, they're just putting it on us. I feel like somebody's gotta stand up for the county.
Yeah, that's
And-
true.
and I'll do it. And
Only thing
won't
I
feel
ask
bad
is
for it.
consistency.
And I agree.
It's consistent, that's my only request, is just be consistent. When
Correct.
these requests come across the state, be
I
consistent.
think everybody should be consistent.
Be consistent.
any more discussion?
You gotta go.
Illegal donation.
No question.
All those in favor, let me know by the vote sign.
Now,
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 3-2. I got to go. I'll see y'all later.
I'll take his spot.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, excuse me,
All right,
excuse me,
see you.
excuse me.
It's not illegal reservation, whatever it is.
I got it.
It's too legal, but you're correct. That's the reason I checked into it.
Supervisor Trainer had to leave, go ahead.
I wanted to know if we can, We were talking about the, clipping of the airport. I think that's something that we need to, before we clip it this year, address the mayor and the, board of aldermen about. I do know that they have some brand new bush hogs and tractors, and have people that do clip, so I think that that's something that we need to, discuss with them, before the county goes out and does it. And then last year, the grass was so high for a couple of our tractors and stuff,
Do we wanna maybe put something together now and?
yeah, I would say that we need to ask, we need to address that before, bush hogs in season gets here. Just readdress that. I think it was supposed to be some type of rotation. The other thing I'd like to ask about is the spraying, of the roads and the clipping of the roads. I know I got a text message that they were about to spray the roads and, the paved roads. So are we waiting to get the ample amount of time before we go behind them and clip?
Oh, yeah, no.
Are you working together with them? on that?
There was a man, one of the foremen informed me on Friday that he had started clipping. I didn't know he had started clipping, and I stopped him from clipping because we just did the second PO for the spring.
Yes, sir. I noticed the same thing. That's the reason I was
And
asking.
so we need to, he's not clipping today.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask about is spraying of the gravel roads. Greg Wall that just sprays our others said if we wait too long and the roads get too dusty, the leaves will have too much dirt on them and he can't
Right.
spray the leaves to get them back. So we need to make a move on whatever we're gonna do on spraying the gravel roads. And he said if we want him to use his spray truck that can spray up and out, that he'll be glad to do that, but he doesn't need to wait until the roads get too dusty and dry, because the spray will not work.
Did he give a timeline on that?
I'm sorry, what?
Did he give a timeline on that? Is that something I can
No,
wait
sir,
till the next
he
board?
called this morning about, some other things, so.
Okay,
Yeah, you probably need to get a couple of quotes on that.
okay, yeah, we can go on and get a couple of quotes.
And I make a motion on that we, get quotes on spraying the gravel roads, and I'd like, when we spray the gravel roads, to also spray the trees back like we did before.
Got a motion by Supervisor Miller. Got a second by Supervisor Howard to, see about spraying the gravel roads this time.
Is he spraying something different? Because in the past, whenever he sprayed those gravel roads, it's been killing everything. I mean, we hadn't had a problem with it not.
I mean,
It's
it's
been
blowing them back.
I don't know
And
what's different, if he's spraying a different chemical this time, but.
He hasn't sprayed it yet.
Yeah, my road, my side that he sprays, it's real high.
Yeah, you paved, I'm talking about the gravel road.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the gravel road,
Now working
he's
on
been
that,
killing.
so.
Yeah.
he can kill some of the
Yeah.
top woody stuff last year.
Well, I think any roads that, it's not working on, I think in certain areas, you see it, and he's fixing to spray again, I guess it's different grasses at different times.
Yeah, with paved roads, yeah.
We got a motion, and a second on that, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Yeah, anytime a road hasn't kind of taken, I call.
And he comes back and
He comes right away.
Right.
I've had good luck with him. Anybody else?
I wanted to tell you thank you for putting the cleanup on Prince Springs Road and those last few big stumps that were out there. I want to ask what the plan is for that.
We're gonna get back out there right now, to be honest, we're just thinking about how to move them.
Okay.
It's a big one.
And then,
Yeah.
and then I wanted to ask too, I know that, that slowed down some of our, culvert installations and things that we, I've had, and of course people are calling. So do you know when we'll, those work requests that have been in for a couple of weeks, do you know when we'll, get caught up on some of that?
I believe we might have, did we not get them Friday?
I'm sorry, what?
I think we might have gotten them Friday. Have you heard anything since Friday? The past Friday?
I know that there was one I put in on, for a metal culvert that was on Sturgis West Point Road that hasn't been replaced yet.
Okay, I'll check on
There's
that,
some-
cause we had went to, that area on Friday and put, Thursday and Friday and put a couple in. But I'll check on that and make
I
sure.
didn't see it in the report and I hadn't gotten the email that it had been.
Right, yeah, the report came out, okay. I don't know if we send emails out when we do that? Okay. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
is it up to your foreman to complete those? And then it goes, yeah.
If they're completed, they come through.
Okay.
Yeah. But he has to enter them before they.
Yeah, but it's up to the foreman, he has to enter it complete,
No.
correct?
It has to be entered into the
Computer for us to see
Yeah,
that they've
Robert.
been done.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
Robert.
Okay.
The initial request, yeah, okay. But the
Just a little bit
completed
behind.
request,
Just a little bit behind on that. Not much, but just a little bit.
yeah.
Going back to the airport clipping, county doesn't have the resources to do that this year. We gotta get behind. We won't be able to do our right-of-way clipping if we take that challenge on.
Well, and I think that's what we saw last year is when we tore up a couple of tractors. The grass was so high, and we did, Mr. Baggett can confirm that a couple of tractors were down after
Yeah,
flipping that.
We
Well,
lost
every
three-
year it
We lost
happens.
3 weeks.
Yeah,
3
it
weeks
happens,
on
it happens every year.
'Cause it's
I think we
it's
just
big
go ahead
Johnson
this
grass.
year and go ahead and make a board order that says we will not clip. Because the county has been the one clipping this, so it's time for somebody else to step up.
I think we
So
just,
I think we just
I
passed this board order that says we won't,
Yeah.
the county's not responsible for the clipping this year.
I would prefer
We won't let
before
you
we.
go her route and say, when we get with the city.
Well, our road manager has just told us
We can't
we don't
do
have
that.
the.
No, we don't have the resources.
Resource.
We would have to
I don't see
rent
no point.
additional equipment.
Let's just not do it.
Maybe they won't ask us this year.
They said they would.
If they didn't have the equipment and
No, I
the
don't know if
cash
we
to
need-
do it, maybe they won't even
I think I
approach
get
us
Mr.
if
Rod.
they got the.
If they've got the equipment, yeah.
They got a brand new Kubota tractor out
Mm.
Put it to work.
Here's another issue that's arising regarding this, dirt, waste dirt, that's between the county workers. The county workers are requesting it. I just wanted to bring that before the board,
to be able to get rid of
to be able to get, some waste material.
overburden and things like that.
And there are a lot of citizens that are requesting it too.
I have been able so far to find quite a few people that have been wanting it out of my area, so we've been able to take it and dump it in their yards and things like that, and then
But
specific places.
But now, what he's asking, however, is the workers are requested that waste dirt, and the citizens are not being able to get it. Am I clear?
Well, I mean, if
The
you-
citizens are not being able to get enough of it, and, cause I have some now that's still waiting for some.
you're in the truck and you got it loaded and your name is on the list, you're gonna probably take it to your house, you know? And so it's not really, I don't think it's a good idea.
You don't think it's a good idea to,
Yeah, we're supposed to, but they're not gonna, I mean, when the county, yes.
Explain to me, what do you say?
Yeah, what-
The county workers are requesting the material.
Okay, the county workers.
Right, so
Right.
if
I don't
they're-
think that looks good.
they don't really, and we got citizens out there that need that,
That's right.
that are requesting it too.
That'd be like saying,
Yeah.
hey, if we're gonna take dirt, you just bring the overburden dirt to my yard.
Right.
Even if I sign, I don't think that would be really kosher, so
Right.
I would say no.
Let's
Okay.
take care of the citizens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
I have something. There's a person that owns the property at 2121 Harris Road.
Okay.
Own that property and requesting a cover to be able to enter
Mr.
on
Baker.
to Mr. Baker. Now, we have verified that he does own, and Ms. Emily, we have verified that he does own that property, am I right?
Yes, he does own that property, and I wouldn't give him a cover if I had to.
Until we verified that,
Because
so.
he's not building on it.
It's okay for us to move forward since he.
It is,
Yeah,
that's
right.
what I wanna do.
Yeah. Okay, if it pleases the board, I don't know whether we need a motion for that yet. A motion to put a cover on Mr. Baker's property, just to get on his property.
He has no other access to that property.
No other way to get on his property. And, I have verified that he does own it. So my motion is that we give Mr. Baker the cover to get onto his property.
Second.
All right, we heard the motion in a second to put a culvert in at, what was that address?
2121 Harris Road.
2121
Harris Road.
All those in favor? Motion carried.
Again, I appreciate what you've done on Hillbrook, and I know you have a lot of work to do on Hillbrook, and you might still have some additional work to be done.
If
Am
they
I
bring
right?
it out, if they bring it out.
If they bring it out.
Right.
But there hasn't been any work done on McHale, I don't believe. Not as much work done on McHale Road. Do you have plans in the future for removing some of the debris? I think what happened was that debris was pushed to the side of the road and in the ditch, but it hadn't been taken out of the ditch and been removed from the ditch.
Well, right now, we just trying to hit all those small areas that we didn't get, like, there are quite a few of them, Hicks Road and, just a bunch of them, but yeah, we plan to get it.
You gonna do that?
Yes.
And through my verification, and you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, we have 60 days after the decoration to be able to remove all of the debris. And I don't know whether or not we moving on a timely base with McHale Road or not. So I'm just asking that you look into that and see what we can do about start removing some of the debris from the ditch area of McHale.
I have one other thing I'd just like to talk to the board about, see, and ask Attorney Roberts. I had a citizen that, they requested to a foreman, and, the foreman, forwarded it to me, and it's, they have an old cattle gap, they're on, Sturgis Maven Road. And they have an old cattle gap that goes onto their property, and they want it pulled up and a culvert put in. Do they need to have the cattle gap pulled up before? And that's just put a culvert in, somebody else pull the culvert up, cattle gap up, the old cattle gap up, and us put a culvert in, or what?
Is it on the right of way?
It is on the right of way. Huh?
It's on
It's on the right of way.
Our road, we can do all of it.
They don't want it, do they wanna salvage that, or do they just?
I want just a culvert put in there. I think we could just pull it up and move it. I don't know. I had asked, I got a call, it's on Scotty Oswald's property.
I think you can make a motion, put a culvert down there, and just like
Yeah.
we did a few
Right.
months ago.
Yeah, that's on our right of way, so I don't see no problem with that.
I don't know the exact address. Can I go ahead and make the motion and get the address and
And then
get it to
address
you?
it and get it to.
Are they planning on putting a cattle gap back?
No, that's just what had originally been put there for them to get onto their property, and they would like a culvert there. It's on Sturgis Maven Road on the left-hand side. Former Supervisor David Oswald's son's property, Scotty Oswald.
That's your motion.
Yeah, so my motion is to, we can place a culvert for him.
Need a second? We got a second by Supervisor Williams. Got a motion by Supervisor Miller, and motion by Supervisor Williams, to put a culvert in at the said address on Sturgis, Maven Road.
In replace of the cattle gap. Now, let me ask you this, if he can't get the cattle gap pulled out of there, is that something that we can legally do?
If it's
No,
on the
the
right of way,
county.
we can pull whatever's in it out. It's not, it's in the way of what we're gonna put in.
He just wants to pull it up and replace it, cause the, whatever has broken and they can't drive across it anymore.
He's not gonna hold us responsible for damage to it,
Not on our right of way.
Yeah, I don't think they don't belong to him. This is getting to be a common occurrence here.
Okay, so.
You call it in, we do a work order meeting.
And, Foreman Livingston is aware,
Okay.
where that location is.
So we have a motion and a second.
And just, there's something though, just some, cattle gap, to retain cattle. So I guess he's not gonna have, or he's not gonna have cattle that's gonna get back onto our road and everything like that, cause
They don't have
we will
livestock,
be
they don't have
held-
livestock in
Out of
there.
that business.
Yeah, okay. So we will be held liable if we did it that way and pull the cattle gap up and put
I
cover
think
there.
it's on our right.
And the cows get out there. But yeah, I'm voting in favor.
All right, all in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
I wanna back up right quick, John, and the spraying, I wanna back up to the spraying. You're very familiar with chemicals and stuff. Why is it that this grass is continuing to grow so high? What our plan was to come in and spray and keep that grass down. But whatever he's spraying is allowing this grass to get waist high. And Mr. Baggett, can you work with him? And I think, you know, 'cause if we get a call from the spray guy or whatever, I think we need to channel him through our road manager, make sure we all consistent. But whatever he's spraying is not doing the trick. That's the bottom line.
Well, now, they only put one app in so far, so he hadn't put the.
Yeah, but we've got grass along these roads, and I actually had to call him to tell him, and I think I sent him to you about spraying the rest of the County Lake Dam, and you had to tell him to come, but again, that's something we need to visit.
Yeah.
We need to visit this, we need to determine if we need to switch chemicals, or if we need to do something, because it's not it's looking about like it was before we even started spraying, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I'm just saying,
Mine's
sit down.
yellow, but it's tall.
Yeah, it's tall. So what I'm requesting of the road manager is get with our spray guy and sit down with him to have a discussion about the chemicals, and if there's any way to prevent this grass from getting so high. You know, I've kinda heard, well, it has to get a certain height so it can spray the leaves, and the leaves can carry it to the root, but this stuff is too high. What we're paying for, what we had in our mind when we started spraying is not taking place. I just put it like that.
Well, this has been the case since we started spraying. I don't like it when it gets high either, and I've asked the same thing. It has to have so much surface area, more so than I love it.
Well, I don't think it has to have this much though.
But it's not the chemicals, and I mean, we could go all week into the process of, a lot of these are select herbicides, they don't kill it, they stun it, you know what I mean, there's growth regulators, all kinds of stuff in there that way over my head even. But I think a lot of times too, we need to go ahead and get the go-ahead earlier so he can get in there and spray when it's the right.
Well, I think he has that option, John. I don't think we hold him back.
He sets the time.
Yeah, he sets the time when he sprays.
Not that it has been wet, but I know what you're saying. I asked the same question, I think it's been a couple of years ago. Can't you spray, can't we clip it, spray it, and it won't effectively kill all the roots? I don't like it.
That's what he said, but he also said that it should have held it to a minimum, not.
Well, okay, like for instance, John High Road, you go down John High Road, you can see two kinds of the grass that has been sprayed on our immediate right of way, and then behind that, it'd be above, it almost touched that socket up there, and then what's been sprayed is tall, but you know what I mean, it's a totally different level.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I know you deal with chemicals some, and I know you.
Weather
I'm
is
just
good and bad for you too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just saying, I'm requesting our road manager to get with our spray guy and just have a conversation with them about, do we need to start earlier? Do we need to switch chemicals, or just let him explain? He may have a great explanation as to why, but I'd just like to know
and maybe
why
get
this
him
stuff
in
is getting
here.
so tall.
This may not be a bad time to call Mr. Wallen, and I'm
Yeah,
sure he would,
yeah.
to kind of explain what you're asking about.
Yeah, 'cause
Even
I
a little
mean,
better
it's-
than I can.
Ms. Emily, can you put him on the agenda for next
So
time?
maybe next,
Thank you.
let's ask him to come next time.
Well,
What about
Can
clipping?
can we let him talk to our road manager? I mean, we need to start following some things
You
through
can
our
do that
road
anytime,
manager.
I'm just saying, it might not be a bad idea to get him in there.
Yeah, right, we
To see
can,
where
but
he's at.
we're not
Right.
just telling him to wait and to talk to our road manager until the next meeting, though. Okay,
You can
good.
talk to him today.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it wouldn't be a bad idea to call him in and see where he's at.
Yeah, if you can talk to him, and maybe he might have a good explanation, not
Does he
even have
send
to
you
talk.
emails every, or
He sends
faxes
it-
every?
We've communicated real well this year, he and I.
Could you communicate with him about the chemicals he sprayed?
Now, what about clipping a few roads that are in really
I
high?
have a question before you move forward, if you don't mind.
I don't mind, go ahead.
Mr. Banks. I think it's a type of grass that we are spraying to kill. Johnson grass.
It's the culprit, the main culprit.
That's real tall, right? Real tall grass.
Very tall.
Very tall. Are we spraying to kill that? Johnson grass.
He should be. Those chemicals kill, that's, John High Road was a fine example. Behind Johnson grass would be over the clock. The grass that he sprayed, which is Bermuda and, that's still there, it's yellow.
Yeah.
It's tall, but it's a couple, 3 feet.
Yeah, that's Bermuda. Okay, what about some ryegrass? I think the farmers go along the road and then they grass.
Not this time of year, it's gone.
It's gone, okay.
But, I mean,
We're
it's something
killing
he
all
can
the tall
explain a
grass.
lot better than
We're
I.
killing all the tall grass that's supposed to grow tall.
But you don't wanna kill all of it, so the roads won't erode. It's a select herbicide. Kill.
Because it's not just the Johnson grass that's called out. It's several different, it's.
Right, it's more than that.
It's tough, man, I
Right.
mean, it's
Tough.
tough, yeah, just,
They need to be sprayed.
yeah, he might need, just
Nothing
have that
but-
conversation.
We need nothing but Bermuda.
Yeah, we shouldn't be that tall, that grass shouldn't be this tall.
What about clipping some of the really dense neighborhoods?
Yes, I've got a couple, and speaking of which neighborhoods, New Light Road, for example, Oakwood Drive. Up in there are people who have bees, don't want you to spray, that's kind of off the list, so yeah, I mean, see, whatever you see fit, places like that,
Okay.
yes, they do.
I know what you said about clipping the dense neighborhood.
I
know they don't want it looking ugly, but I got folks drive along and they don't want it looking ugly around their house either.
Not my neighborhood's dense.
Yeah, not that, like Miss Emily fence, her neighborhood's not dense, but still she,
My road too, I'm scared.
and that,
I think you gotta be
that
careful
lake,
about-
county lake levy looked like, it looked like it hadn't been clipped in 10 years.
Yeah, I think we have to be careful about how you define dense neighborhood.
My grass
And
is
who's
dense.
gonna recommend what neighborhood is considered a dense neighborhood?
I already got a list of the roads that they clip every year before clipping season starts. I mean, I gathered that last year, cause every
Well,
area does it.
I wanna give you some names of some communities, some roads that I think is dense too.
I already got them.
Do your thing.
Alright. That's all I have.
That's all you got. Well, I got one thing, and it's just gonna be a very simple thing. It's on, New Light Road. We've got a tree at 7764 New Light Road. It's split in the top, and if it comes down, it's gonna go into the road. Gentleman signed a right of entry agreement. It's maybe a foot or two off, but if it falls, and I mean, you can see the main trunk is, just a split in half when it does its way in the middle of New Light Road. I'm gonna ask for a board order to have that tree removed, that'd be my motion. At 7764 New Light Road, right on the edge of it there. So, all in favor? Motion carries. So I made the motion, Supervisor Williams second. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Well, I don't think
Got
the
no more,
report
we
was
need to accept
approved.
his, the road manager's, report.
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams to, accept the road manager's report. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Baggett. Okay. All right, moving right along, Chancery Clerk business, Ms. Livingston.
There was no CD purchased, and the remains were, the funds remain at the Citizen Bank at, still at 2.815%. I need a motion.
Got a motion, got a motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Howard. All those in favor? Motion carries. Unanimous, thank you, Ms. Brooks. County business, Ms. Emily?
Payroll changes.
Move for approval. Second.
All right, got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard for payroll changes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
Next I'm gonna have is, Shalonda Sykes, continuing education, May the 9th through 10th.
Move for acceptance.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Miller to acknowledge Ms. Sykes' continuing education. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
Travel to, the convention next week, June the 10th through the 14th, for the supervisors, county administrators, attorney, comptroller, and chancery clerk. These are given for order approving that.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard. Need a second. Second by Supervisor Williams, to travel to the conference next week.
And while we're right there, Ms. Emily, have her to counsel mine. I'm not gonna
Not
make
going?
her trip.
All those in favor?
I'm not going to.
Motion carries.
I'm running into some problems, I might not be doing.
Be a good
I
time.
just looked at the agenda and, so that's why I made my decision not to go, based off the meetings that they're having down there.
Credit card charges in the amount of $157.76.
Need a motion and a second.
Motion for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Miller to pay the credit card charges. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Alright, and then our claims docket, claims number 3041 through 3398 in the amount of $1,678,598.16.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second. Motion.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor? Motion carries. Three more. Alright. I need two more to sign there. Alright. Is that going along? Anything else, Ms. Emily?
No, I got this on ballot.
Yes. Let's cover the Mesa election here.
You have to sign the top page and the second page. Most of y'all signed the second page.
So we have some. We need to pick. How about this? Everybody want to pick one as we go around?
Sounds good.
What if you pick someone we were gonna pick?
Pick another one. But you gonna put a second X over it.
Well, I'll put a second X by that, how about that?
Now, we gotta pick more than one. We gotta pick
So,
six of
I
them.
mean, you could've, yeah.
Up to 6.
Up to 6, so you could've picked
I know
one
more, I
plus.
know.
Alright, they're ready.
Anybody else? So that'll be our official ballot if we turn it in. You wanna let Orlando take it, or you want to take it?
I'm gonna fax it into them today.
That way it'll be done in case something happens and nobody gets done. Beyond that, we got supervisor business. Supervisor Miller. You get the
No, I
second
think
sheet.
I- Only thing I would say is, I wanted to readdress, about the election commissioner's insurance. You know, that was in our pack last time, and President Trainer thought that would be a good idea too, so I just wanna say that I would like to get, them on the agenda, come and see what they were requesting and actually get all that, information, before we start out. Before we move forward with the insurance for this next year.
Maybe see if they can get on the agenda next time. Election commissioners, I think they would be glad to come up here and talk with us. Supervisor Wood. All right. Supervisor Howard.
I don't, but look like, personnel matter, we're gonna go in executive session.
It was canceled.
Okay.
Good.
My turn. All right, this has been a long time coming in terms of trying to get this, bridge panel issue dealt with on Reed Road. I've talked with the auditor's office to kind of make sure that I'm going through the proper procedure with this, to give you kind of an overview and for people to remember. There were some bridge panels that were left on West Haven Farms LLC that at some point, the state auditor's office felt like that we had made some mistakes. That being said, I looked into it, sure enough, we had made some mistakes, but we had actually gone onto West Haven Farms property without permission. And our employees apparently damaged a gate, damaged a couple of fire lanes, rutted up the property, that kind of thing. In dealing with this and discussing this, there were several issues that we had to deal with. The first issue was that at the point that the panels were dealt with, we did not do them at a salvage rate. We didn't put a value on them, nor did we make them something salvageable that the county put in its place to actually do anything. What I need first is a motion to salvage the bridge panels at the recognized rate through PNR salvage, which is values that we received a few months ago. That's the first motion I need, if I can get that.
So moved.
Second by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0.
All right. The panel's value, and I'm going to use round numbers so that this is easier for me, but the panel's values were under, frankly, they were under $3,500. They were well under that.
Well under that, yeah.
But using round figures, they were under $3,500. We all received a letter from the farm, West Haven Farms, of damage that he felt like was done to his property in the amount of $13,000, or approximately. After discussing with him the issues and what I felt like was fair, I actually went out there and looked at the property. There was damage done to the property. There was a gate that had gotten bent. There was ruts that I saw. There was fire lane damage. I can't say honestly how much of the fire lane damage we did, but somebody did it. And whenever I got out there and looked, there was obviously some damage. So I need a motion from the board that recognizes that the county damaged West Haven Farms LLC.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller.
And that
says we damaged the property.
You didn't say to what value?
This is my third one's gonna get us all
those in
pinned down.
favor?
Okay.
Motion carries 4-0.
Alright, this is a step-by-step process. I apologize for how confusing it sounds. Alright, after discussing the damages with the property owner and the value of our bridge panels and the fact that we did go onto his property, without permission, he's agreed if we will give him the, bridge panels plus $2,000, that he doesn't want anybody else coming back on his property. In other words, we're not gonna have to go out there and do anything. In all honesty, this is, if you add the two together, it's substantially less than the amount that he originally said. So, I need a motion to give the bridge panels at the value of that salvage price plus $2,000 for the damage done to his property for the complete and end to the bridge panel issue that we've had going on for the last year. That means this is over. We're done. Now, in your minds, you may be thinking, oh, we're giving him the panels and the money and all this kind of stuff. Y'all, if we continue this on, we're gonna have $10,000 worth of legal fees tapped into this.
More than
right.
what we got here.
I've talked with the state auditor's office and explained to them what the situation is. Their exact words to me were, you need to get this dealt with in as financially a feasible way and proper way as you can, and this is what I'm attempting to do. So my motion should be to give for value bridge panels plus $2,000 to West Haven Farms LLC for full and final settlement of the issue dealing with the Reed Road bridge panels.
So moved.
Second. Heard the request, motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams, to give bridge panels and $2,000 to
West Haven Farms
West
LLC.
Haven Farms LLC. Any discussion on the matter?
I'm glad for full settlement.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 3-1.
I'm trying to remember, there may have been one other thing I wanted to discuss with y'all. That's all I have. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure I keep all of my ducks in a row with this.
Well, I just wanna thank our board attorney for working through this. I think
Fantastic.
he's done a great job. I think the board has learned a great deal through this, process. I think in the end, in a nutshell, the audit department determined that there was nothing illegally intended through this. It was just a few technicalities that the board, didn't follow through this process, although we intended to. But I think in the end, the audit department came up, investigated, looked at it, and decided that this board was not trying to do anything illegally. So I appreciate it, and the bottom line, I think they said just, this is not an audit department issue. This is an issue that can be handled by the board, so you all handle your issue. And so I'm grateful that this is behind us. I truly apologize for any part of this and any participants, that was involved in this. If there was any negative light shed on this situation. But again, I appreciate it, and I'm glad we're moving forward, with this issue.
I've got nothing else.
Without further delay, that's a similar issue that maybe you'll address in the future. I believe you know what similar issue that is.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything from anyone else before we adjourn until, that would be the 17th?
Yeah, before it be the 24th.
Okay, on the 24th. At 5:30. Need a motion and a second to adjourn until the 21st at 5:30. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. See y'all next time.